right now. I should lighten up and be a less of a negative Nancy. It does look like samcobra is lifting off this command center and taking it somewhere interesting. We'll see where this goes. He might actually just be taking... Yeah, it looks like he's taking the 730 main, the 730 main. I really should actually get a clock and work out where all of the positions are. And this is going to be a really interesting move just because nemac is going to be very unlikely to scout there, and that's essentially going to be a free base for samcobra. Samcobra is also just building a command center at his third, at this protected third right here. Protected natural, whatever you want to call it. So nemac is going to think he's on even basis when he's actually down one because of that command center floating over, which is actually an orbital command. He upgraded it before he lifted. Interesting choice. Especially because it gets so much energy. If you upgrade a command center before you lift it, it's really important to call down that mule immediately so that you get the benefit out very quickly so that you can immediately start turning that mule into more combat units. Samcobra has a bunch of SCVs here, which is really cool. Hopefully he will Maynard a bunch over as soon as the command center finishes, but we will see. And he's also got a bunch of gas. I kind of feel the need to comment on that. I'd like to see more tanks, more medevacs, and more upgrades out of him. He does have combat shield. I'm actually going to go over to the protection tab because I've been missing all that. He does have combat shields and the Marauder Slow and Stimpaks being upgraded. In the meantime, his opponent is actually going for Dark Templars, as I'm talking all about all these, or High Templars, I am sorry, as I'm talking about these mains. It looks like I have missed this very important bit. Storm is researched, and the 25 bonus starting energy is also being researched. So he's just going to be able to warp in Templars wherever he wants on the map with enough energy to storm, which is incredibly awesome. Especially if he gets like a single warp prism supporting his armies, or just good proxy pylon placement. And we do see that samcobra is pushing up right here with a Marine Marauder tank force. He's not going to siege that tank, which is probably going to cost him because these Zealots are making, especially with Charge, are making short work of these Marines and Marauders. And these tanks are going to siege, but it's going to be way too late for them to do all of their damage. Even so, these siege tanks just do so much damage to Stalkers. And we can see these Stalkers just dropping right here. But they are going to be able to blink on top of the tank, and a lot of the damage is going to be mitigated. The first tank can't even fire. The second tank will actually be able to get off a shot on those back couple Stalkers, but he's not going to be able to do quite enough damage to take it down. And SCV was with samcobra's army, so that is going to die to Stalker fire. We can see that this is an earlier patch, and despite the Stalker having 5 kills, it has not 6 kills. It has not ranked up. This game is like Diablo. I can never tell 5s and 6s. And we actually see a Ghost Academy up by samcobra. Very good choice, very solid choice. He's got plenty of gas, and he can build Ghosts for EMP just to completely decimate his opponent, but it does look like he's actually going for Cloak, which is nifty. And nemac, as far as I can tell, actually doesn't have any observers that are going to pop on over to the unit tab. He does not even have a robotics facility built, so he's not going to be able to adequately reply to these Ghosts in a proper manner. And we will see that momentarily. I'm sure that samcobra will get plenty of use out of these Ghosts. In the meantime, he's doing a decent job of saturating and scanning at this orbital command. I'm sure that was a bit of a misclick on his part. Again, this is a patch ago, so we do not have the awesome big orange circle scan animation. Both players just continuing to macro up as they sit on these bases. nemac has plenty of High Templar now. He's got 3 High Templars. That's going to be more than enough to cut through a Marine Marauder blob very quickly. Get those medevacs working overtime trying to pick up those units. But EMP does rid these High Templars of energy, so we will see some interesting dynamics between the Ghosts and the High Templars, trying to get that EMP off and trying to get that Storm off before the other person can cast. Looks like nemac is floating a bunch of resources. I would love to see him just warp in a bunch of Zealots. He's got all these warp gates sitting idly, but he does not appear to want to use them. If it wasn't for this probe, I would wonder if he had disconnected. Just going to pop over onto the ATM tab, and we can see that he is deeming it a bad time to use the mouse or the keyboard right now, and he is taking a couple of actions now. As I say that, just a note out to all of you players out there, no matter how dull the game seems, there's generally something that you could be doing. So don't be like nemac, do not sit and let your cat play the game for you. It is not very good at the game. We can see that samcobra has finished researching Cloak, and he is continuing to saturate these 3 expansions. He is up a base. Looks like nemac is going to grab the extremely unsafe expansion across from the extremely unsafe expansion that he just grabbed. I would love to see a couple of Reapers just come in and pick at these probes right here, or a tank drop or anything, but we do actually see a nuclear missile being researched by samcobra. He has, I'm going to check and see how many Ghosts he has. He has just a single Ghost, so he's not really going overkill. when I'm playing TVP, I really like to have just a bunch of extra ghosts, just so I can be really sure that I EMP his entire army, just be really thorough. But it does not look like samcobra is going for that. It looks like one is enough. And he does have Cloak, and he's beginning to move up. This nuke will be up in a little bit. This nuke is actually finishing. These are so fast compared to Brood War. Brood War, it takes forever to get your nuke, and then it takes forever to call it down. And you also have to eliminate the possibility for a scan in Brood War. For your nuke, you have to get that fancy schmancy add-on. Whereas in 2, you kind of already want at least one Ghost Academy anyway, just for EMP. It looks like samcobra is also floating a little bit of resources. I wish I had asked what leagues these players are in. And he's going to lose a Reaper to a bit of mismacro there, just charging into a bunch of Zealots. Not the best idea, especially when the Zealots have charge. If he had been a little more careful, and I'm actually going to see, he does know that his opponent has expanded. What am I talking about? Because of that earlier assault, I would love to see him just do something with his high ground right here, just really whore out that advantage. Especially because his opponent hasn't killed those rocks back in there, hasn't even looked at those rocks back in there, so there's no way that he can march up units. And we do have a nuke coming down for samcobra, a little bit of an interesting spot for this ghost to be. His opponent just sees a little red dot, as you see right there, and he is going to have plenty of time to move away his army. This ghost is probably going to kill itself in the nuke. Looks like nemac is doing a very fine job of pulling probes away, and that nuke kills the ghost. And the Nexus has plenty of shields. These cannons are taken out of very, very low health, though, so that's definitely going to help samcobra if he chooses to assault that base later. I wish he had placed that ghost a little bit better and not just thrown that away, though. Not the best nuke. His opponent, though, has 0 detection, so I'd love to see him continue to whore that out. And it does not look like nemac is actually going for any detection of his own. nemac has mined out his main. samcobra has also mined out his main. samcobra probably mined out his main a little bit ago, just because mules help him mine it so fast. Does not look like he's calling them mules. Looks like he is instead choosing to conserve his minerals, which is an okay decision, considering he's floating about 2k right now. When you're floating a bunch of minerals as Terran, you really should whore out the scans and the supply drops, and just not really worry about muling so much. I mean, it's definitely very good to put more and more minerals in the bank, but when you're having trouble spending what you already have, it certainly does not make very much sense to just mine out that much faster and really jumpstart your lack of being able to be spent. If we pop on over to the army tab, we can see that nemac does have 3 High Templars, 2 Sentries, 8 Stalkers, 7 Zealots, and an Observer. So he is getting prepared for ghosts from samcobra. samcobra, in the meantime, has 3 Ghosts, 22 Marines, 3 Tanks, 19 Marauders, and 2 Medivacs. And I understand that I'm just going to reading off his tabs, but if we actually think about that for a little bit, what this means is that nemac has some Storm, but not a lot, and samcobra has some EMP, but not a lot. So both players are definitely going to be able to do a whole bunch of damage to each other's armies, but it's really just going to be a big clash of these high damage units. I would love to see some more High Templars and some more Immortals, and maybe even a couple more Zealots coming out of nemac, just because that's going to deal with this Marine Marauder tank Medivac blob really well. It does not look like his Medivacs are actually with samcobra's army. I'm kind of curious to see what he's doing with them. Looks like he's dropping a single ghost, going in for another nuke, dropping this ghost at the protected expansion of his opponent. And nemac is going to see that Medivac go in, but he is not going to choose to do anything about it. Looks like he's just going to go straight for these destructible rocks and go up for samcobra's third, this really protected third, this really protected full energy orbital command. But there is a tank on the ledge, and because samcobra is up on the high ground, nemac has 0 vision of this tank, and this tank is going to do a bunch of damage. This tank has 4 kills already, just picking off these trailing units for nemac. I'm kind of curious where nemac's Observer is. It looks like nemac's Observer is just floating above his natural. Not really in the best position. If that Observer had been with his army, he just would have been able to blink up those Stalkers right on top of that tank and take it out really quickly, and then just charge in through those destructible rocks. Also, his Immortals were with his army, and those Immortals are very good at taking out tanks, very good at just dealing with tanks in general. samcobra, in the meantime, is building another command center, and nemac has taken this gold right here. It looks like both players are going to unwittingly expand right next to each other, completely unaware that each other are doing so. And this ghost for samcobra is coming up. This is going to be a nuke. He is going to nuke nemac's main. I'm not really sure how much good this is going to do. Nukes don't really do that much damage, and this Nexus isn't really doing a whole bunch of good anyway. It looks like he is going to kill one probe, as this one probe is going to dart into gas before nemac can deal with it. nemac is doing a very, very nice job of dealing with these nukes. One probe and a cannon going down for nemac.